please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I'll now call to order this regular school board meeting of Independent School District number 544. Our first item of business is for the clerk to establish the quorum. Kirby Anderson.
Here.
Kelly Graff.
Here.
Jenny Christensen.
Here.
Missy Hermes, present. Melanie Cole.
Present.
Stephen Bigasa.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The agenda is approved, and we will move on to a resolution on acknowledgements. I'd like to thank Gate City Bank for their donation to Fergus Falls Public Schools from the My School Spirit card program. Thank you to Cassandra Lipson from Waterhoot Quilting Shop for donating a large variety of items to the FACTS program at Kennedy Secondary School. Thanks to the Fergus Falls Fishing and Game Club for their donation to the Lincoln Prairie Restoration at Lincoln School. Thank you to Service Food Market, Great Plains Natural Gas, and Walmart for their donations to the MAP Stars program at the Fergus Falls ALC. Thank you to Fergus Falls Monument Company, American Federal Bank, David Case Family Dentistry, AMP Insurance, Glendy Nelson Funeral Home, and Olson Funeral Home for their donations to the upcoming music trip for students at from Kennedy Secondary School. And then thank you to Shoremaster for their donation of aluminum to the super mileage car team at Fergus Falls Public Schools. Will someone offer that resolution and move for its adoption?
I would offer that resolution and move its adoption.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the resolution? I'll turn to the clerk. Kelly Graff.
Yes.
Jenny Christensen.
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. Stephen Bigasa.
Yes.
Melanie Cole.
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted. Thank you. We have several board reports, and we'll begin tonight with Ms. Nancy Reard, our special ed director. Welcome, Nancy. And if you could just eat the mic, the sound doesn't go through very well to the PEG access program, so I'm trying to really focus on letting people at home.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Is that too much? Is that okay?
That's good.
All right. I'd like to start my presentation with some celebrations. I can't believe it's already going to be April 15th tomorrow. I had a hard time narrowing my list to say thank you to our teachers, staff, students, paraprofessionals. It's just been a really good year, and for my first year, I'm so grateful to everyone on the board for their support. So, and I just want to give you a couple examples. This morning, one of our programs was short, 3 paraprofessionals, no subs, all the subs were called. I sent out an all call to our paras, or our certified teachers, asking for, is anybody absent? Can we get some help? In 12 minutes, I had teachers offering, the positions were filled with students absent today, and just really quickly. So I'm super grateful to Andrew Kowalski, Kim Lake, Sarah McClure, and Sarah Amos, who, instantly had that position filled, those positions filled. Also last week, I did some due process paperwork checks. We working on that workload formula, looking at all the hard work our staff is doing. And I was just over the top pleased with the due process paperwork our teachers are doing. 81% of our teachers had 95% or greater of their paperwork done on time this year, which was phenomenal and just wonderful. I want to thank the Staff Development Committee. This year we had more of our staff out for training than ever before. Our school psychs, speech pathologists, early childhood special ed teachers, And teachers over the summer had some additional training this last summer too, and we'll do again this year, so that's been great. And I have to say thank you to Leslie Schaefer for her awesome job with ESY planning, which I'll talk a little bit more about. This year we had our first time as a district holding our own CPAC and CTIC meetings. We had our second meeting this year for our CPAC, which was very well attended. I was super excited about that. I want to thank Ellen Anderson and Kara Johnson for doing an outstanding job presenting at that CPAC meeting, which is our Community Parent Advisory Council meeting, and that was the last one for this year. We have our last CTIC meeting, our second meeting this year on May 6th at 6 p.m. That'll be over at Lincoln School. We have, and that is the Community Transition Interagency Committee, which we bring in people from the community to help our families with information about our students moving to adulthood. Lake Region Healthcare in Ottertail County will be presenting at that meeting. We had our third restrictive procedure meeting of the year on March 25th. The meeting went very well. The restrictive procedures we have still are down 56% from the same time last year, which is awesome. And that's including starting our own Setting 3 program. So really good still data on that. And we are still working on procedures and protocols for restrictive procedures. And so I just see that continuing to improve along with continuing with the UCARO training that'll be again offered next year, and more trainers trained this summer. Our Setting 3 program continues to grow and develop. At Adams, McKenna Peterson has done an awesome job this year. She has 10 students. 6 of those students are participating in mainstream. That's our goal, get kids back with their peers as quickly as possible. The Adams program does currently have a wait list because McKenna's doing such a great job. She is currently full. Carrie Trupka has currently 5 students. 2 of them are participating in mainstream, and she has had 3 successfully move out full-time out of her program this year back to mainstream. So both are doing a really great job. ESY registration forms are coming in steady. Lincoln School will be holding ESY, which is our extended school year summer school program. For the first time, we're also offering ECSE ESY for students to come to site. Typically, ECSE services are all developed or delivered in the homes, and this year we're really excited to get some of our friends ready for preschool by bringing them in for some services this year. At Kennedy will be our grades 4 through 12 program, and I want to thank our teachers, Diane Marvel, McKenna Peterson, Sarah Tyne, Lisa Schlosser, Angie Nord, Sarah Amos, and Kari Krein for teaching this summer. That's a big commitment, and we really appreciate their effort doing that. I also want to thank our speech pathologists, Jenny Swanson, Shelby Sowers, and our OT, Kara Johnson, for working this summer. I'm also excited to report about third-party billing today. That was something really I was maybe a little nervous about taking on for the district this year. It's a huge learning curve. For those of you that don't know, we do some billing to medical assistants, to MA. Students receiving special ed services that are eligible for MA, we can bill specific services that are health related. It's complicated and challenging, but Julie Domino and Connie Cooper have really stepped up this year, learned the system, got the paperwork done, and redone, and sometimes redone again. It took some time to get all of the system learned. But our speech pathologists, again, occupational therapists, case managers, and our special ed paras were very patient with us as we were learning and getting that all figured out. I am happy to report that the learning year has paid off. We've billed for more students this year than the last 2 years by a significant amount, I think, which has brought in more revenue as well. So in all areas, so speech, OT, PCA services for our paras and special ed transportation are all up this year. So they've done a fantastic job. We also have a couple programs that we've been really working hard this year developing. Our ECSE program will be starting 2 functional skills classes, 4 mornings a week and 4 afternoons a week, which we're very excited about. We feel the earlier and more intensive intervention will help our students be more successful when they're ready for kindergarten and ready for more mainstream preschool classes. Lisa Miller has also took on Expanding some of our offerings for work-based learning, opportunities and experiences for our students at Kennedy, all the way up through until they turn 22. So a couple of things that we've been working on and still excited about and looking forward to implementation. So I want to thank you for your time and thank you for your support this year. Any questions?
The functional skills classes, will that focus on the same students for an extended period of time, or will there be like a churn if one student attains the skills, then we've got more coming in, or how will that work?
Yeah, so for ECIC ages, students turning 3 to 5 that aren't yet in kindergarten. And so we've had some meetings kind of selecting the students that are good fits for that, and kind of similar to a Setting 3 behavioral program. Students can get those readiness skills to add more and more mainstream when they're ready. And then if we identify either new students coming in or students that would fit that program well, we would slip them into some of those open spots.
And how long will that last? Weeks or?
Oh, it was individual for every kiddo. So depending on the student's needs and disabilities, it's very individualized. So some students may be in there all year, just similar to another Setting 3 program. They might be in there all year, or they might move out hopefully quickly. So.
Nancy, when we were going over the bills earlier, that topic that you mentioned, transportation expenses for special education students did come up, and there's a potential for the governor to remove that from his budget. And I wondered if you had heard anything about that, or if that was maybe taken off the table, because it's thousands and thousands of dollars.
Correct. And so the last I heard, potential was 5% less for next year. Yeah. I haven't heard any official decision though on any of that, but that was kind of what they were projecting. And maybe 10% for the next, and it is thousands and thousands of dollars. So we would have to get quite selective on special ed transportation and really analyze that closely as we move forward.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for Special Ed Director Greer? Thanks for the report.
Nice, thank you.
We'll move on for each board member to speak about the collateral boards and responsibilities that we have in addition to this meeting. And starting with Kirby Anderson.
Thank you. We did not have an activities meeting since our last board meeting, first board meeting in March. We did have a 504 education meeting this past Thursday, April 10th. There was no March meeting. So on April 10th, we went through the treasurer's report, and the finances are, as usual, looking good. The total assets are right around $2.3 million for the foundation. The major donor newsletter was sent out March 3rd. There is a senior recognition ceremony for scholarships. That will be Monday, May 5th at 7 o'clock over at Kennedy. There's also a newsletter going out. It's being in the printer right now. It should go out by the end of this month or early May. And there's also a 2005-26 classroom wish list email that's going out towards the end of April to all the staff. A couple other things. The foundation did a pictorial history project. It's over in that room just off of this room. If you get a chance later tonight, go over and take a look at it. We talked a little bit about alumni night. We hosted a basketball game against Wilmer over at the rec gym, and we had a shoot for the loot where the foundation made $460, and the lucky person that with the playing basketball, she also got $460. There is a retired staff reunion will be Thursday, May 22nd at 10 o'clock until 11:30 a.m. in this particular room. And the next foundation meeting will be Thursday, May 8th, right here. Any questions on foundation? Finance Committee. The Finance Committee, we did meet on March 13th over at Kennedy from 10:30 until noon. Jenny and Kelly and I are on the Finance Committee. And The main purpose for that meeting was to talk about budget reductions. So I'm going to just spend a couple of minutes because we have some budget reductions on our agenda tonight for new business. So some of the reasons for the budget reductions that we're kind of looking at the next 2 years as being a little bit more of a belt-tightening thing. We'll have more long-term facilities maintenance because we'll still be working to maintain our older buildings. We have a lot of uncertainty right now. We just talked about special ed transportation. We also have a lot of unfunded mandates from some of the unemployment issues and parental leave, things like that. Trying to figure out where the enrollment's going up or down right now. It seems like it's pretty level. And when you have level enrollment and inflation going up, with expenses going up, that causes a problem. So we talked about absorbing some of the imbalance with the general fund, which we will do, but we also targeted $845,000 of reductions in fiscal year 26. And just to give everybody a sense of how that happens, we don't just pick numbers out of the air. So each of the, besides the three of us and Jeff's admin staff, we also had all the principals there too, from his admin staff. So principal from the high school, the middle school, all the grade schools, the kindergarten principal, as well as our special ed person Nancy. And so each of those people were asked to come up with budget reductions based on a number of students under their responsibility areas. So for instance, when Scott was here, he had grades 1, 2, and 3. He was asking around 84,000 reductions. Cleveland, 62,000. Middle school, the 3 grades, 68,000. The high school, 213,000. Special ed was asked to come up with 165,000. So all of those principals put their pencil to paper and talked with their staff, and they eventually came up with $872,000 of reductions for considering pretty good, considering we had an $845,000 goal. So that's kind of where it happens, and then those recommendations go to the personnel committee, and the other 3 board members are on that committee, and then they review those recommendations. So when you see recommendations for cuts on the agenda, it's not like they just appear there magic. There's a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of pencils scratching things out, and calculations that go into it. So a lot of input from different people. And that's my finance report.
All right, any questions for Kirby on the finance report? Okay, we'll move on, and Jenny Christensen will report on her activities.
As Kirby mentioned, we did not have an activities meeting since our last meeting. I was unable to attend the Minnesota High School League, but I did just take abbreviated notes from their minutes, and so I do have that update here. There are some updates that were provided on proposed legislation on increasing the league's catastrophic insurance, cardiac response teams at events, as well as an extension of the league's sales tax exemption. Currently, that is scheduled to sunset in June 2027, so we'll see where that goes. The board of directors also approved the state tournament dates. If any conflicts arise from professional or collegiate teams, they are read on the schedule as to be determined. The board of directors approved an advancement of the official handbooks 200, 300, and 400 bylaw series in conjunction with them preparing for the 9th grade governance implementation. The regional committees will have an opportunity to provide feedback before the representative assembly makes a decision on those. Board of directors also approved the competitive section placements for the 2025, 2026, as well as the 2026 and 2027 school years. There are some also winter activity advisory proposals. The ones that impact us specifically would be Nordic skiing. They have some proposals for code of conduct, pursuit qualifiers, as well as video review. Wrestling has some additional half-day to the state tournament, additional weight classes for sub-junior varsity level, as well as classification proposals. The 9th grade of governance update, they do have a proposed glossary that they are also introducing in conjunction with the bylaws that are being updated, as well as some Q&As. The finalizing of all that updated language in the official handbook is an action item for the next board of directors meeting, which will be on June 3rd. They also are going to hopefully start clarifying alumni participation. Right now, they want to provide a clear understanding and direction for member schools when applying the alumni participation bylaw. Currently, it does not permit alumni to participate with league students, but they do want to seek official clarity, a little bit more clarity on that. So that was the update from the Minnesota State High School League.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Jenny on her report? For my reports, Region 1 did not have a meeting, but our recently hired director resigned. And so we brought back the old director, and he is holding things together, and we'll have a meeting later this month. Meet and confer typically works primarily on the school calendar for next year. That's resolved, and we haven't had any other issues arise, so we did not meet. So, any questions for me? All right, we'll move on to Kelly Graff.
For the staff development committee, I wasn't able to attend. I did get some notes as well. They have talked about the 2025-2026 length of sessions. They did go ahead and approve the Wednesday, November 26th, with the end of trimester and Thanksgiving. For the keynote speaker, Ricky White. It will be an all staff, certified and non-certified, so that's a great thing. Friday, January 23rd, they'll have 390 breakout sessions for AI, dyslexia, ADHD, trauma review, suicide awareness, elementary AI, OL, and LA. They also have requests for funds for more training from 4 different staff. They also talked about the new requests for mileage reimbursements, the subs rates for certified staff, for half day and full days and non-certified staffs, meal rates, and lodging cost requests must include all these, they said. Our next meeting is May 5th and at Cleveland, and that was it for the staff development, and the wellness has not met yet.
All right, that's great. Any questions for Kelly? Missy Hermes.
Thank you. The Curriculum Review Advisory Committee met on Monday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. And we did a review of the different curriculum that is being proposed by the different social studies teachers. So world history and geography, 6th grade Minnesota history. And then next, in this month's meeting, April, then the teachers themselves will come and make a presentation so that the Curriculum Review Advisory Committee can vote on that adoption. That is staff development, curriculum review. But for policy, we have a policy on our work session, and we'll try not to do that anymore unless we have to. But I also want to read something to you. We used to have a legislative committee, and maybe we can combine legislative with policy. And I received an urgent legislative action alert from the Minnesota School Board Association that kind of fits with what Kirby was talking about earlier on school finance. And so what they're warning school board members about is that the Minnesota State Legislature, the Senate especially, has announced budget targets for their finance committees, and they are proposing cutting $687 million from schools starting in fiscal year 2028. And MSBA is concerned that this terminates the accomplishment that they gained from the legislature in 2023 that links per pupil funding formula to inflation. And so we really hope that the legislature does not pause or repeal that indexing of education funding formula, which is essential for maintaining the financial stability of our schools and ensuring adequate resources for our students, like busing for our special education students, which is so, so important.
Any questions for Missy? All right, Stephen Biggessa, building report, building and ground report.
Okay, so Melanie and I, Superintendent Drake, met.
we talked a lot about a building bond. I'll get to that at the end here, I guess. We did talk about the facility use rates, which is a policy that we're going to review in our work session today. I guess the gist of it is we're going to review possibly raising some rates. Just they haven't been raised in a while. It's just to be able to cover our cost. We're not in the business of profiting off of the use of our facilities, but we have costs to cover. So we're just going to review that today and vote on it later. We talked a bit about some capital projects that are happening. There's some bigger expenditures. We've got the pool that the work will start in May of next year after the synchronized swimming show. We'll have to coordinate with them to make sure that they can get their show in before we start tearing apart the pool. We're going to be refreshing some bathrooms at Cleveland in June. The staff bathroom, we weren't able to find a suitable location. We were going to be using that spot in the cafeteria where there is some water hookups behind the food station there, but there's just too much. They're using that for storage and just not a suitable location. They'll have to problem solve that and hopefully get a good staff bathroom over there finally. The roof at Cleveland, there's still, I don't know if Jeff, if you have any updates on that from a few weeks ago. They were still kind of going back and forth of whether or not they were still under warranty.
Yeah, the roof is still under warranty.
Or who's
Trumco is working to come up with a more permanent resolution to the issues.
Okay. And then we have some bigger expenditures, the turf and the track need maintenance, and that'll be about $750,000. That'll be coming up eventually. We talked a bit about the building bond, and it didn't pass, of course. Everybody knows that, but what is the plan moving forward? We still have old buildings that need to be replaced at some point, and it's kind of back to the drawing board. We need to reconvene the facilities task force, maybe getting some different voices, especially those that maybe didn't approve of the bond last time, to get them on board. Which is what had to happen for the Kennedy remodel. Is it took 3 tries, and the 3rd try they had to reach out and get the folks that didn't agree to be on the board or to be on that committee and to really then become advocates for the new bond. When we were meeting and talking about this, none of the tariffs have come into the picture, and we don't know what that's going to do to building costs. The percentages change every day of what's going to be taxed higher rates, and honestly, even without tariffs, materials prices have gone down once in the last 20 years, so it's just going to keep getting more expensive. And the window is kind of closed on the sticker shock of having a new school. It would have been just a tiny increase the last time, but going forward, it's going to look, it's going to feel a lot more expensive. But we did set a date to possibly have a vote if we end up deciding as a board to do this in the 2026 election, the midterms. So at this point, we're still doing a lot of talking and organizing on who should be in the task force, and yeah. So that's kind of a summary of what we talked about.
Any questions for Stephen? All right, we'll move on to our superintendent's report. Jeff Drake.
Well, good evening. Always like to start out with thank yous. It was Assistant Principal Appreciation Week last week, so want to just extend my appreciation for Principal Tilkey, Assistant Principal Tilkey, and Assistant Principal Johnson for all the work that they do. Obviously, Mr. Tilkey's busy with the action at KSS, and Mr. Johnson is the primary administrator for IQ Academy. So again, thanks for their hard work, and really appreciate all that they do. Some congratulatory notes. Our Knowledge Bowl team competed at state last week. They had a banquet last Thursday evening at Cragen's Resort and did the written round that evening, I believe, and then the main competition was held Friday morning into early afternoon. There were 5 rounds, and congratulations to our team who placed 13th out of 18 teams. Really difficult competition. We are in the large school bracket, so you can see the winning team, which was composed of only 4 students, but they were juggernauts, came out of Edina. And so they won convincingly, but really, really proud of our team and how they did. And I want to congratulate Gus, Aaron, Eric, Triggy, and Josiah for a great experience as Knowledge Bowl. And we have several of these students returning. I think only 2 are graduating this spring, so we should have an excellent team coming back next year. And a little thank you to Mrs. Drake as the advisor. Jaden Miller set the CLC indoor track record in the 1600 meter. And so congratulations to Jaden for a terrific race. And congratulations to Coach Scharnberg, who is the Minnesota State School Nordic Ski Coach of the Year. So very prestigious honor and very well deserved. Our girls Nordic ski team went to state for the first time in the program's history this winter. So job very well done, and an award very well deserved. We have some upcoming events. We have an orchestra concert coming up. We also have a book fair on May 1st. The spring play, and so this one is held at a Center for the Arts, but that is a high school rendition of Clue, and that will be coming up in early May as well. So we are looking forward to opportunities to see our students perform. And then I want to talk this evening just a little bit about the fiscal year 26 budget. There was a really interesting article a few days ago in the Star Tribune, and it had to do with Annandale Public Schools. And some of the rhetoric around that article really reflects or resonates closely with what we've experienced in Fergus Falls. So the district has aging facilities. They have gone out for both an operating levy and bond support a couple times in their community unsuccessfully. And they were kind of lamenting the challenges that they face. So you can see Annandale has an excess operating levy or referendum of $79 per pupil unit, and comparing that to the other schools in their area, with the state average being just over $1,000 per student. So if you would put Fergus Falls on that bar chart, you would see us at 0. We have 0 excess operating authority in the district. That would be contingent on voter approval. But obviously, when you look at a state average of $1,036 per student, and us at 0, you can see what a huge impact that has on our operating dollars or annual revenue. And so those things end up placing additional strain on your budget, and tough decisions need to be made, and that kind of brings us to this evening. It's not fun stuff trying to balance a budget, especially with the amount of unknowns that are out there, both at the state and federal level. And I wanted this evening to just spend a couple minutes showing a very short presentation here that was done by Captivate Media on behalf of the Minnesota Association for School Administrators.
After headlines students across Minnesota declared record school funding in 2023, you may be asking yourself, why are so many school districts making budget cuts and going to voters for more funding? Here are the top reasons Minnesota schools are struggling to balance budgets. Number one, inflation. Families aren't the only ones feeling the impact of rising costs. For school districts, the costs of labor, health insurance, property insurance, and school bus transportation continue to rise. The 2023 inflationary increase to the general education formula is a step forward, but it doesn't make up for decades of underfunding and failing to keep up with rising inflationary costs. Number two, unfunded and underfunded mandates from the state. When it comes to some of the most costly things schools have to pay for, it's the state legislature, not the local school board, who makes these decisions. From implementing new instructional strategies to increasing curricular requirements to providing unemployment benefits, there are decisions made at the state level that local districts must follow. While the state may offer one-time funds to help pay for some new requirements, the ongoing costs are often the school district's responsibility. And number three, the changing role of schools in our communities. The needs of students are different than they were 10, 20, or 30 plus years ago. From mental health support for students, specialized learning assistance, family resources, and career programs to help meet workforce needs, schools have taken on additional responsibilities to meet the needs of their students and community. When you add rising safety needs, aging buildings and technology, and declining birth rates, it's clear why Minnesota districts struggle to balance their budgets. School funding is complex, with the majority of funding coming through the state in the form of general education aid. Schools also receive funds for specific categories that can only be spent on certain items. Additional needs are then covered by property taxes. In other words, just because the state is providing us with more dollars doesn't mean we can use those dollars wherever we like. Each year, we tackle the challenge of balancing these funding sources with our increasing expenses to build an effective budget that meets student needs. When our student needs exceed state and local funding, we may seek additional support through a referendum. As you can see, there's more to the story beyond headlines of schools receiving record funding, inflation, unfunded mandates, and a changing role for schools. Funding schools is an investment in our students, community, and future. Please reach out to your elected officials and share your story so that they can help do their part to make sure our students and our schools are receiving the resources they need for success. Visit our website to learn more.
And that concludes my report this evening, but certainly we'll field any questions.
Do any board members have questions? All right. We will continue on with our general consent items. And for consideration in this motion are minutes from our last school board meeting, which was held on March 24th. The bills and treasurer's report, and I will turn to our treasurer.
All right, to start with the treasurer's report, our current balance without the construction fund is sitting at $21 million. One thing of note I did want to mention is that we do have $1 million currently sitting in our construction budget. However, now that Lincoln is finished via the reimbursement resolution that the board passed, I think it was May of last year, we can reimburse ourselves about $500,000 for the cost that was incurred before the bond receipts came in that following August. What Renee told me is that we're sitting at about $674,000 of costs that were incurred, but $500,000 of that we can reimburse ourselves for. We also had about $4.5 million in receipts during this last period, and 3.8 of that was in general ed aid. So those are things of note in the treasurer's report. As for bills, we are seeing a lot of costs coming in for different activities, swimming, speech, that stuff is starting to roll in. We also saw some expenses for the bar conference, IQ testing. One item of note was about $22,000 in cost for robotics. From what I understood Renee to have explained right now, Mr. Swanson, who is the gentleman from Otter Tail Power who funds that and been kind of, the advisor for the robotics team, he is the one who places all of those orders, and then we reimburse him for all of that equipment, and we have asked him in the future if he could give us those items that need to be ordered, and we could order them ourselves, that rather than being like an intermediary, we would just be able to order those ourselves, and it sounds like he's totally on board with that. Also wanted to make a note that there were lots and lots of repairs for different roof walls, all kinds of things in this last bills report. One item that actually turned out to be in our favor was one for Buttweiler's. It was for a roof repair. I wish I could tell you I remember which building it was for, but all of our roofs are in disrepair, so it was one of them. And when they originally quoted us for the repair, they said that they would not exceed $8,780, and they actually stuck to it. The actual bill that came in was just over $16,000, so they actually did not charge us what the actual cost was, which was really nice. And that is about it, is what I've got for treasurer's report and bills this time.
All right, thank you. We have several personnel initiatives, certified staff retirements. At the end of the 24-25 school year will be Terry Christensen, a special ed teacher, Keith Pearson, a science teacher, and Jacqueline Ness, a Ludwig, an art teacher. Certified staff resignations at the end of the school year include Chloe Nelson, language arts, Jacob Zaka, social studies, Ryan Behrens, special ed teacher, and Ellie Rutland, elementary teacher. We have 2 staff that are teaching beyond their contract, so they will get overload pay, and that would be Rebecca Wint, special ed teacher, and Beth Starrett, a special ed teacher. We have 1 certified staff hire for IQ Facts, and that's Lori McNally. We're doing a contract increase with her for second semester, so that's so that's right now. She's got a lot of extra students right now, that would be correct. So we're giving her the overload there. Certified staff hires, Jessica Radswell, language art teacher, Emily Ahrens, a science teacher, Nathan Ahrens, a social studies teacher, Vega Barrett, a special ed teacher. Rescinding contract rights for Lori McNally, taking off 1/3 of the load for next year. That's just the accommodations for the online academy, the fluctuation in the enrollment from fall to spring. Support staff resignations. Roberta Shockey, a HR payroll specialist, Elena Price, noon hour supervisor, Dakota Halverson, a custodian, and Laura Chalk, special ed para. Support staff hires are Zach Lewis and Trista Tostenson. Noted in the general consent items is a notice from the Fergus Falls Education Association to negotiate their contract. And that is it for the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve that?
I'll motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the items on the general consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, the general consent items have passed. We have under new business a request for a math teacher to have a 1-year leave of absence for the 25-26 school year. And I would look for somebody to make a motion in regard to that.
I'll make that motion.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. And I would,
May I make a comment?
yeah,
I would recommend to the board that the approval be contingent on us finding a suitable sub. And I would suggest that the deadline for finding the sub be May 16th.
and so with that commentary, it was along the same lines what I was intaking my breath and thinking how to say. So I would maybe seek to determine if, Missy, you would amend the motion to include that, or we should take a second.
Yes. I'll amend my motion that this request for 1 year leave of absence be contingent on finding a sub by May 16th of 2025.
Thank you, and the second was from Kelly. And would you second the amended motion? All right. So first we will vote, well then we'll vote on, well, any other discussion?
I was, just the word sub, I think qualified candidate would be a better. That's okay.
It's friendly and
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make such an amendment.
Okay. And a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay, we're all good on that.
Sounds
Cool.
good.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, should I repeat it all one
Yes.
more time? All right. My motion is, I move that we accept the leave of absence requested by Troy Lee, math teacher, for 1 year, contingent on the fact that we find a qualified candidate by May 16th of this year. Very well. Second.
Now, is there any other discussion? All right. Then we'll take a vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The motion is approved, and that is settled there. We have then a resolution discontinuing and reducing educational positions and programs. Whereas the School Board of Independent School District Number 544 adopted a resolution on January 27, 2025, directing administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs and positions. And whereas said recommendations have been received and considered by the school board, be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 544 as follows: that the following programs and positions or portions thereof be discontinued. This is district-wide, including IQ Academy. I will read the certified positions in the agenda, and in our minutes, it will have the portion of each full-time equivalent position that is being cut. So I will not read each of those numbers because it takes a long time. I know some are over them. So the certified staff positions that are being cut are art, fax, auto, business, elementary teacher, physical education teacher, language arts, music, math, reach, science, and world language. Under certified IQ Academy positions, we have cuts for art, business, elementary school, fax, health, math, phy-ed, and special education. Support staff positions, district-wide cuts of special ed paraprofessionals, night lead custodian, HR payroll specialist, para-educator, and student services coordinator. So I would ask if anyone would offer that resolution and move for its adoption.
Could I make a suggestion first?
We'll entertain the motion, just to be clear with the rules of order, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
I'll offer the resolution and adoption.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, and then under discussion?
Yeah, I would just like to make a comment. As you all know, we have the band on there, that is to be cut. We've received several emails. I've been stopped by several people in the community. As a alumni of the Fergus School District, I would like to state that the band department has offered us to take some of the cost sharing of that, so we wouldn't have to maybe cut the band program. And I'm wondering if we could, before we make this, if we could take the band off and not cut any part of the band.
So that would require a second motion and a second to that, and then we would consider that motion and then move on to the resolution.
Just because of the fact, I just wanted to say, you know, music is very therapeutic. We have a lot of students that really, starting in 5th grade, don't know their way around the school yet. 5th grade starts in middle school. It becomes hard for children. A lot of the children have said, you know, I have found friendship, lifelong friends, starting in 5th grade when I joined the band. Kids were making fun of me. I had no place in the school.
Is there a motion?
What?
Are you making a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Then if you would make the motion and then the second, and then we can continue discussion after the motion on the table.
I'll second.
All right. And so we have a motion to establish the cuts for the school district minus the band and music program. So discussion on that portion.
I have some remarks about how to finish.
I just, it really hit home with all the emails and people approaching me. It was one of my favorite things when I attended the school, listening to our band. I mean, we have a wonderful band. We have a wonderful choir program. We need those. We need to protect our children, and I think with band, it's a great thing for our students to be protected by that. For those that don't fit in, for those that need a soloist to find. We've had some great band instructors, and I see some in the audience today, and I thank them. So that is, I would just move to not eliminate it, please.
And other discussion?
A few things to say, yes. So we heard from the community, probably more on this issue than I can remember in my board experience, other than, well, I suppose, anyways, for this one, we heard from students, we heard from alumni, we heard from staff and previous staff and community members. And I think that, you know, when enough people are raising a concern, we should take some serious consideration of what we're doing, and is it right? And I mean, we've read all of the emails that they've sent, so I'm not going to repeat, you know, things that we've already read. Just on a personal note, I feel that music involves all of the subjects: English, and math, and science, and foreign language, and history, and it's good for neurodivergent people like myself who need to learn a different way. In any situation, I just have to say no when it comes to any cuts in music and things that have helped me personally, and I know it's helped a lot of other people. The other thing that stuck out to me when we were looking at the itemized list of the cuts, for Cleveland School, the only cuts that were suggested were music. It was the 4th grade orchestra and 5th grade large group band, which I felt was unfair. Thankfully, the orchestra has been saved by Foo, I believe. We call them Foo Fighters. I didn't think I could use that in a sentence ever, but I did. But anyways, it was saved, and thankfully for our community. Eliminating the 5th grade band, which has been around since before my time. I was in 5th grade band. And to eliminate something that's been so long-standing. And the other thing about it is that it is a feeder for our band program, which means that every year you lose some kids. And the later you start those kids, the less kids you have to maintain a program, which is why it would just hamstring our band program by eliminating the 5th grade.
Madam Chairman,
I move that we call the question, the original question.
All right, that's a Robert's Rules of Order call to get to the vote. And so with that, we'll vote first on the second. Okay, I need a second. Okay, is there a second to Missy Hermey's motion to call the question?
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion on calling the question? All right, with a motion and a second and call to the question, then the first vote we'll take then is whether or not to eliminate music from the budget cuts. And that would be, this is a resolution, and so then we will have individual votes recorded. And so with that, I will hand it over to the clerk.
All right, Kirby Anderson,
No.
Kelly Graff,
Yes.
Jenny Christensen,
No.
Missy Hermes, no. Melanie Cole,
No.
Stephen Vigasa,
Yes.
the motion carries.
All right, the second resolution to eliminate the band program has now been defeated, and now we will offer discussion on the original motion of approving all the cuts as listed. Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing,
That's what that vote is. That's
Well-
on the original motion.
I thought we had to vote on the secondary motion that Kelly made.
Yeah.
We wanted
This
to-
goes right back to
Well,
the
I
original motion.
described it
Oh, okay.
as voting on
So
Kelly's
call
motion.
the roll again.
Yes, so please call the roll, and this is in regard to the original motion to approve the cuts as listed in our agenda.
Okay, I will. Kirby Anderson,
Yes.
Kelly Graff,
No.
Jenny Christensen,
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. Melanie Cole,
Yes.
Stephen Vigasa.
No.
The resolution is adopted.
All right, thank you. We will continue on with a resolution on the retirement of Carrie Christensen. Whereas Carrie began her employment with Fergus Falls Public Schools in August 1993, and whereas Carrie has been a valued employee with the Fergus Falls Public Schools for the past 32 years, and whereas Carrie has been a dedicated special ed teacher for the district, and now therefore be it resolved by the Fergus Falls School Board to thank Carrie for her 32 years of service to Fergus Falls Public Schools.
I'll offer that resolution and move for its adoption.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Clerk, roll call.
All right. Stephen Vigasa,
Yes.
Melanie Cole,
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. Jenny Christensen,
Yes.
Kelly Graff,
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Next, we have a resolution on the retirement of Keith Pearson. Whereas Keith began his employment with Fergus Falls Public Schools in October 1990, and whereas Keith has been a valued employee with Fergus Falls Public Schools for the past 35 years, and whereas Keith has been a dedicated science teacher for the district, and now therefore be it resolved by Fergus Falls Public Schools to thank Keith for his 35 years of service to Fergus Falls Public Schools. Will someone offer that resolution and move for its adoption?
I'll offer the resolution for its adoption.
I'll second that.
Okay. Kelly Graff,
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. Stephen Vigasa,
Yes.
Melanie Cole,
Yes.
Jenny Christensen.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Next is a resolution on the retirement of Jacqueline Ness Ludwig. Whereas Jacqueline began her employment with Fergus Falls Public Schools in August 2018, whereas Jacqueline has been a valued employee for the Fergus Falls Public Schools for the past 7 years, and whereas Jacqueline has been a dedicated art teacher for the district, and now therefore be it resolved by Fergus Falls School Board to thank Jacqueline for her 7 years of service in the Fergus Falls Public Schools. Will someone offer that resolution and move for its adoption?
I will. I'll offer that resolution and move for its adoption.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
All right.
Stephen Vigasa,
Yes.
Kirby Anderson,
Yes.
Kelly Graff,
Yes.
Jenny Christensen,
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes, Melanie Cole.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. The next item of old business is a proposal to adjust the 24-25 school district calendar. This is due to the snow days we had on April 2nd and 3rd. And as you can see in our agenda, there is a suggestion on how to resolve that, but I'll simply entertain the motion on how that will be pursued. Would someone offer a motion in regard to that?
I'll make a motion that the May 29th be the regular school day, May 30th will be a 3-hour early out for students and the last day of school, and then June 2nd will be a staff work day with no students. June 3rd will be a staff development day with certified staff.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I would like to entertain the idea of possibly making June 3rd a float day for certified staff rather than having them in the schools. That has been requested by a couple different teachers who have reached out to me. It seems that rather than having them do busy work that day, they could use those hours to actually service their students during the month of May. So I don't see why that is outside of the realm of possibility.
All right, that would be, that's a good discussion topic, and I think we can put that on tonight's agenda. It would be a separate motion, separate from the revision to the calendar.
Okay.
So if we could proceed, any other discussion about the motion that's simply on the table? Hearing, Kirby?
Okay, I've been on the board 6+ years, and I've been on staff development committee for at least 4 or 5 revisions of new school calendars. And every year I brought up the same thing, I'm going to bring it up one more time. I've always suggested that we take the Friday before Easter and the Monday after Easter and make those snow days. And had we done that this year, we would be going to school this Friday and next Monday, and we wouldn't be talking about going into June, we wouldn't be talking about float days, we wouldn't be talking about any of this. But every time I bring it up, it gets shut down, and I just think that whoever's on the staff development committee next year, I still think it's a great idea, especially when Easter is late like it is this year.
Yeah, well, I can own that. I was on the meet and confer with the teaching staff and didn't attend to that. But it is, and it's kind of a hard sell because
I understand.
but it is a good consideration.
But
And
2020 hindsight, it actually would have been a great idea.
it would have been a great idea.
Just saying.
All right, any other discussion?
Can you tell me why we don't have our snow days built back into our calendars then? So we wouldn't have to go this late? I mean, we are one of the schools that go the latest around here. And I would like to see them not have to make it up and use the float day as well as June 3rd, so.
All right, and as a new board member, it's kind of hard to put all these pieces together. The meet and confer committee takes proposals from the staff, and so, and then works with that to modify how the calendar's put together. The variables include the staff, all the different conferences with the kids, and the prep for the conferences, and then the makeup time after the evening work. Also, we have the staff development that's in contract. We also have the variables about where Christmas lands, and is that 1 week or is that 2 weeks? And typically, we don't chop weeks, and so there's a lot that goes into that. And I would say that as we are moving forward, inviting you to the meet and confer or to be on that committee might be also beneficial.
Madam Chair, may I address the question as well?
Yes.
So as part of the meet and confer process, that is predominantly teachers on the committee with board representation and myself. When we've talked about building in snow days internally into the calendar, that has not been met favorably in the past, primarily because The teachers point out that people make travel plans, assuming that you're going to get this day off or that day off. Plane tickets might be involved, et cetera. And so for that to change potentially a week or two out from the event would cause potentially a hardship for some of the faculty and staff. So that, to Kirby's point, that concept has been brought up several times in the past. It has been not one that's been viewed favorably by the staff.
Thank you.
Just one more thing. We're required to start after Labor Day each year by the state. And I know that we have internal pressures to finish before June, but this coming school year, we have the advantage of the earliest Labor Day ever. I'm just going to point out in 2027, that will be, or 2026 will be the latest Labor Day ever. So the earliest we could start would be September 8th, 2026. So.
Okay. Any other questions? So the vote then goes to, as proposed, the makeup days, which gets the staff out on May 30th, or the students out on May 30th and staff done by June 30th. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, the motion carries. And we received in our packet the proposed calendar for 25-26 for IQ Academy, and I would seek a motion to approve that calendar. I'll make that motion, and somebody make a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion about the IQ calendar for next year? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, the calendar is approved. We have a work session tonight with several topics on it, open lunch, board development opportunity with MSBA, and we'll talk a little bit about that policy that was mentioned earlier on school facilities and grounds. We'll be here next Monday, the 28th, same time, 5:15. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion on adjournment? All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.